Alright, so this video, and I guess the next video I'm going to do, are a little different from what I'm usually known for. Hey, it never hurts to break off and do something cool. Just depends on how much views I'm going to get out of it. So yeah, we're going to talk about something I've seen other channels do, and talk about, basically, my Blu-ray collection. Yeah, you're probably wondering where all the little blue boxes right there. So yeah, I have been amassing a Blu-ray collection as of late. I've actually had an extensive DVD collection, and maybe as a follow-up I might do a DVD collection video at some point, because there are more DVDs in my collection than movies, but I've been trying to move more towards Blu-ray collections because, well, you know, I feel like you get more with the Blu-rays, and also, yeah. Not to discredit DVDs. If I find a movie that is on DVD that I can't find anywhere else, I will get it on DVD. But if there's an option for Blu-ray, and since Blu-rays are now cheaper, I'm still not getting, one day I'll move to 4K at some point, but, like, Blu-rays are getting less expensive, and now I actually have a Blu-ray player, my Xbox over here. So, yeah, it's just kind of nice to have this kind of stuff. And also to see more stuff is getting restored on Blu-ray. That was another leap for me. Anyway, so, yeah. I'll explain. Again, I'll probably do a DVD collection at some point if this video does well enough. But I'm going to just go through this video and kind of talk about all the movies and why I have them and all that. You know, cool shit like that. Anyway, so let's get started. First off, we have Kill Bill Volume 1. I don't have Volume 2, I've been meaning to get it, but I'm a big Tarantino fan, and while I don't have all of his movies, I do have the ones like I really enjoy, and Kill Bill was definitely one I actually do, I'm not in a rush to get Volume 2, it's mostly because I like Volume 1 a little bit more. Like, not to discredit Volume 2, but I do feel like a lot of the better story comes from Volume 1, that's just me. Anyway. Next up, Reanimator. This I got, along with a few others. I got this at a store. My girlfriend and I were in a store in Boca Raton, Florida, and there was this little comic shop, this little thrift book shop that had Blu-rays for $5 each, and I kind of hit the jackpot with several of them. Reanimator is a favorite movie of mine. I thoroughly enjoy it. It's a great, one of the better retellings of movie adaptations of Lovecraft stuff. It's just a great film. I had to get it on Blu-ray. Anyway, speaking of another movie I got from there, Battle Royale. Another solid, like a fun Japanese gore fest of a movie. I really like this, and it's way better than Hunger Games. Hunger Games wishes it was this cool. So yeah, also got that for $5. It was cool to see my girlfriend spotted it. It was like, oh, Battle Royale's right there. Didn't you want that? I'm like, oh fuck, there is. Like, I went back to that Blu-ray shelf multiple times because I was always finding something else. Usually when you go into thrift stores, there isn't a lot to really go for. There isn't a lot of stuff. They're like, oh, maybe that one. I'm not in a mood to really grab. Oh, that one sucks. But here it was like, oh my god, we hit the mother load. Anyway, another movie I got from there, Die Hard. And yes, before anyone says anything, Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Suck my dick. It's another one of my favorite action movies. I was very happy to get this on Blu-ray. And I know what you're thinking. I know, and actually, let's talk about this right now. Why do you even bother getting physical copies of anything? You could just stream it. And what happens when that streaming movie goes? And it's impossible to find anywhere else. Physical copies will always beat out streaming. I'm sorry, I like to actually own my things. You know, looking at everyone over on Crunchyroll and Funimation who lost all their money in anime for the streaming site. So, you know, it's why you get physical copies of things when you can. But moving back on to point, another one of my favorite movies, The Warriors. This is, like I said, one of my favorite movies. It's a great 70s action. I wouldn't say action movie. It's a cool gang film, and it's actually like a neat, twisted representative of all these. It's a really weird movie. Like it's not. I wouldn't say weird. It's like a fun like gang movie of a group of teens who are called the Warriors, trying to find their way back to Coney Island where they are after they got framed for something they didn't commit. This is also the director's cut, and again, it was a solid $5. I had to get it. Another one from that collection, The Shining. I actually have Dr. Sleep on DVD. And that was a time where I didn't have like my Xbox where I could play Blu-ray. So it's weird because I have the sequel to this in DVD form, and we have the Blu-ray for $5. Again, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan of The Shining, not by a long shot, but I would say that I do enjoy the movie enough. And again, it was like a $5 purchase. If it was anything over $5, I would have been like, eh. But I was like, you know what? I'm in a mood for some more Stephen King and Kubrick. This movie is very controversial. The making of is just the definition of hell. The only other movie I could think of a worse set, give or take, is maybe The Island of Dr. Moreau. But yeah. Anyway, next up we have a recent acquisition of mine, In the Mouth of Madness. While it is a John Carpenter movie, and it is technically a Lovecraftian film, it's not really a Lovecraft movie. It has Lovecraftian elements, but it's not a Lovecraft. It's not a true like H.P. Lovecraft story, but it is damn near close, and I love it. This is a fantastic movie. It's highly underrated in John Carpenter's repertoire. Yeah, and I have a lot of movies from John. For those who don't know, Carpenter is arguably my favorite director of all time. I have a lot of like Halloween. I have Big Trouble in Little Chinatown. I have Christine. A lot of his movies, and of course The Thing. But those are all in DVDs, so it was kind of nice to find In the Mouth of Madness on Blu-ray. Next up, we have, which is bouncing around in the case. I don't know why. This is a movie I don't think most people have heard of, Velocipaster. The Velocipaster is an intentionally bad movie that features a priest who becomes a velociraptor to fight ninjas. If you don't think that's the greatest goddamn thing ever, get the fuck out of my face. This is so egregiously stupid, it's amazing. There's also a great cameo by Voltaire, which I forgot. I'd seen this movie before, but I was watching it about a month or so ago, and Voltaire shows up. I'm like, is that fucking Voltaire? And my girlfriend looks at me, he's like, you watched this movie? I'm like, I forgot! Anyway. Next up, we have another recent acquisition. Speaking of, who it still has a bit of the shit on there. I'm so professional on this channel. Anyway, They Live, another John Carpenter movie. I got it at the same time as I got In the Mouth of Madness. I was in a John Carpenter mood because I have come to kick ass and chew bubblegum. And I'm all out of gum. Yeah, I also love this is the... Oh yeah, it's the collector's edition, and I love the artwork. That's another thing I love about these Blu-rays, is that some of them have some really kick-ass cover art now. I think it's really solid. This was the Shout Factory... the Shout Factory release. It's a solid movie. I love it, and I'm glad to finally own it on Blu-ray. Next up, we have a recent acquisition from my good friend Chris. Chris, brother, thank you for sending me this movie, and that is Resident Evil Death Island. Resident Evil Death Island, I did a review of it months ago, talking about, like, this is basically the big Avengers-level story of all the Resident Evil characters meeting up to take on an evil that's in Alcatraz. I was really excited for this movie, and Chris said he was going to be sending me this movie along with another, which we'll get to at some point. Yeah, I was very excited, and Chris, I know you're probably watching this. Thank you again, brother. So, moving on to another movie I acquired from that shop. I kind of went hog wild, I'm not going to lie. I went a little bit hog wild because there's so many movies on there. Poltergeist, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Definitely, if I was to do like a top 50, it'd be in there. Poltergeist is a movie I've considered, like, and I know this isn't, I wouldn't call this a controversial take, but I think Poltergeist is easily a movie, like an induction-level horror movie. It is a Tobe Hooper and Steven Spielberg collaboration, and there are some legit scary moments, but I thoroughly believe you could show this to your kid when you want to give them something like, if they're starting to get into scary movies, this is a good, like, like, give them, of course, introductory stuff first, like Gremlins or the Universal Monsters or Jaws. Then you move, this is the next thing, like, I would say next step in that level of horror. It's like, alright, you could take this, let's see if you can move on to that. Anyway, so there you go. Moving on now to our next one. Goddamn motherfucking chair. And that is probably my favorite action well, one of my favorite action movies of all time. We'll get to that, my favorite action movie of all time, in the later. But this is one of my favorites, and that is Enter the Dragon, the quintessential Bruce Lee movie. I saw this in that $5 shelf, and I was like, that's coming home with me now. Enter the Dragon is just a phenomenal movie. I think we can all agree it's one of Bruce Lee's greatest work, and of course his last piece of work before he tragically passed. So yeah, there was no way I was not going to get this. You're out of your damn mind if you think I wasn't. Next up, The Descent. The Descent is a great Neil Marshall horror movie. It's very claustrophobic, and this I got for about $5 off of Target, I think. It's the, of course, this is the original, this is the unrated cut, so I was very excited to have this in my collection. I really like Neil Marshall's movies. Do I think he's kind of taken a dip post-Hellboy? Kinda, sadly. But, you know, The Descent is such a solid horror movie. Next up is another acquisition from Chris. Thank you once again, brother. And that is Evil Dead Rise. I basically now have, except the Evil Dead quote-unquote 2013 remake, which I still like, and like now it's basically canon in the franchise. That's the only one I'm missing. The other ones, I have a 3-disc DVD collector's edition of Evil Dead in my collection. Then I also have Evil Dead 2, and of course Army of Darkness. So, yeah, I have, thanks to Chris, I now officially have Evil Dead Rise in the collection, and I was thoroughly happy to get this from Chris. So yeah, as of right now, because we know there's 2 more Evil Dead movies, all I'm missing is one more, and I'll kind of be caught up until the next movies. So yeah. Actually, let's talk about this one. This was actually cool. I got this one at a horror convention, and it was definitely worth the money. That is The Exorcist extended director's cut with the theatrical cut. This is a deluxe edition, and probably the only, one of the 2 I have that are considered like deluxe movies. Now, The Exorcist is not one of my favorite movies. I do think it's not one of my favorite horror movies. I do acknowledge that it had major implications for the horror genre and movies in general. At the same time, I still prefer Exorcist 3. It's still my favorite, which is sad because I don't have Exorcist 3 in either DVD or Blu-ray collection. That is on my list of movies to get, is Exorcist 3, my favorite Exorcist movie. But I had to get this because it felt like a quintessential movie. And also, I've never seen the director's cut, the extended director's cut, and I have always wanted to see it. And I really like, I could go on and on, because it was just a beautiful, there's also a booklet that gives you information about William Peter Blatty and William Friedkin. There's also great behind-the-scenes stuff in here, and photos. The Pazuzu there. Like, let's just showcase it. It was really solid. There's like a whole, it's a whole like behind the scenes like mini autobiography of all the stuff in here, and it's a cool 2-disc Blu-ray set, and it was really cool to get this. I was like, Exorcist may not be one of my favorite horror movies, but it's definitely a movie I'd love to have in the collection. And when I saw this, I was like, you know what, fuck it, fuck it, we ball. I'm gonna get this movie. So, I'm very happy with this, because again, it's just a very prestige look, and I like the mini book in here, too. Now to move on to our next one. And this was a birthday present from my girlfriend. She went high and low to get this, because this is actually my favorite movie of all time. And that is the Criterion Collection of Seven Samurai. So, like I said, my girlfriend got it for me for my birthday last year. This is a very recent acquisition. And very much like the Exorcist movie, we have a cool little book in here that gives you more backstage information. It's a 2-disc set, special features, and also talking about the movie itself. There's such a great stuff about talking about Akira Kurosawa and all the behind the scenes stuff in this little booklet. This is actually one of the... I think this might be my only Criterion collection in here. This Blu-ray is also incredibly hard to get for some reason or another. I don't know if it's cycled out or something, but yeah, my girlfriend got it for me as a surprise. I was not expecting this. I just mentioned how I love this movie and I could never get it anywhere. And she showed up. She showed up with this as a great birthday gift. So, yeah, Seven Samurai is, as much as I am a Godzilla fan and, fan of other major film genres and things like that, Seven Samurai is by far my favorite movie. So, it was really cool to finally have this in my collection. And Criterion, nonetheless. Yeah. So, let's move on to the... I hate this fucking chair. I hate it. Moving on now to the only Steel book I have as of this recording, and that is Tremors. I love Tremors. The reason why I got this Steel book was I was at an FYE, and this was only $4. So I was like, fuck it. The Steel book is really nice. Don't get me wrong. It's really cool. But it's just a Steel book. I don't get the appeal. That's my thing, is that I really only wanted to get it because I wanted Tremors on Blu-ray. I don't get the... and the art is pretty cool, but, maybe I'm just missing it, but people are like, oh, you gotta get... If you're getting Blu-ray, you need to only get Steelbook. And I'm like, motherfucker, why? Anyway, next up is one that was a birthday present from... a Christmas gift from one of my aunts. Boy Kills World. I love this movie. This is one of my favorite movies of 2024, and I was so psyched to have it in my collection. Next up, oh yeah, this is Criterion. I forgot. I knew I had another Criterion, and I'm like, Jesus, I know I have another Criterion collection in here. It's another Kurosawa movie, Throne of Blood. I love Kurosawa movies. I don't have... These are the only two I sadly have in my collection at the moment. I'd like to get Ron and Yojimbo and a few other movies here and there. But Throne of Blood, for those who don't know, it's a samurai retelling of Macbeth. There is another Kurosawa Shakespeare remake of King Lear called Ron, and I'd like to get that. Anyway, next up, this one people are going to go, what? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Black Sabbath. This movie is a horror anthology directed by Mario Bava, a prolific horror icon of Giallo films. This is one of his big ones, and it was a cool Boris Karloff movie as well. For those who don't know, there's a bit... I'm going to go into a bit of information here. There's three great tales in here, hosted by Karloff, who stars in the fourth story called The Vodolak, which is an old Russian vampire story that predates Dracula by, I think, 100 years. There's also two really other... all the stories are really good. They're very creepy and very atmospheric. The movie also is the reason why we have Black Sabbath, the band. You see, I'm going to go into a bit of music information here. Basically, before they were called Black Sabbath, they were called Rainbow. However, no one wanted to see a band called Rainbow, and there was a movie theater next to where Ozzy and the others were playing, and the film they were all watching was Black Sabbath, and Ozzy was like, well, fuck you, I'm going to take your movie title and add it to me. And hence we got Black Sabbath. So we have this movie to thank for basically all of metal. Anyway, I really enjoy this film. It's a great, like, Italian-American, cool horror piece. You can get this at Kino Lorber Studios. Kino Lorber is also where I've gotten a few, like, lesser-known, like, cult movies. They actually got some cheap Blu-rays here and there. I do like shopping from them, because they have some really obscure horror movies. A lot of them, like Corman, and also some other movies we're going to talk about here and there that are, like, it's really cool to get, like, these get Blu-ray renditions for several films. So, that's really cool. Next up, Godzilla -1. Of course I had to get this in Blu-ray. What the fuck are you thinking? Now, the reason why this is the only Godzilla Blu-ray I have. The rest are in DVDs, and I'm not one of those people of, oh, well, the Blu-ray's the next big thing. I have to get the Blu-ray. No. If I have it, I'm one of those people who's like, if I have it already, I'm not going to buy it again. That's stupid. Yeah, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, I have the DVD, but now I have to spend more money on the thing I already have. I always found that kind of dumb. So, but yeah, when Godzilla -1 Blu-ray came out, I was like, oh my god, I have to get this. And I'm so happy I did. Now this one's going to be fun. This one, I was at a thrift store with my girlfriend, and I found this movie in one of the shelves of this antique mall. Baby Legend of the Secret of the Lost Legend. This movie is basically an E.T. ripoff with dinosaurs. It's also a movie about the Monkele Mbembe. I used to watch this movie on VHS at my great-grandmother's house, and I, for some reason, thought this was a movie that, I always thought this was a movie that, never existed. I thought it was like something I made up in my head as a kid. And I haven't even, like, now that I'm looking at it, I never took off the fucking thing. Like, I never took off the top part, the top seal. And I know some collectors like, no, don't take off the top seal, then, then it will lose its collector value. Motherfucker, I want to watch these movies. Not have them sit on my shelves and be like, oh, that's really nice. And speaking of another Kino Lorber, Theater of Blood, a Vincent Price movie where, this is a lesser-known one, so I'll explain it. Theater of Blood is basically a movie where Vincent Price plays a Shakespearean actor who's going around killing all of his critics in the form of William Shakespeare plays. It's a lot of fun, and Jesus Christ, does Vincent Price chew up the scenery like no one's business. It is so much fun. I really recommend that movie. Rather than, turning for however long, I'm just going to grab the next few and put them down here. So, next up, Psycho. What I consider to be the original slasher film. I love Psycho, and this is the 60th anniversary. It's got some really cool bonus features here and there, and I also really like just kind of like how people pick Hitchcock's brain. I really wanted Psycho in the collection, and I really enjoy it. But I was also really excited to get this, Psycho 2, which heretical thought right here, this is some heresy, but I prefer Psycho 2. I love Psycho. I do. But, Psycho 2, I love a bit more. It's like that Top Gear meme. I like this, but this is brilliant. And I surely think Psycho 2 is a brilliant film, making Norman our centerpiece character, and it's a great slasher. I really like it. It does have some 80s gore in there, here and there, but I think it helps accentuate the movie. Next up, we have Aliens. No, I do not have Alien Romulus yet. I only, I don't have Alien Romulus yet, unfortunately, but I was really happy to get Aliens. This also has the extended cut in it, which I was very happy to have. You guys know me, I'm a big Xenomorph fan. And, of course, I have Alien. This is kind of a basic Blu-ray, but it still has some cool special features here and there. Yes, I know, I do still need Alien Romulus. I've been meaning to get it, but hey, I can't spend money on everything. I don't make this out of, I only make so much money. Next up, we have my favorite Robert Eggers movie, but the second one hasn't come out on Blu-ray yet. My second favorite hasn't come out on Blu-ray yet. The Northman. Yeah. This was one of my favorite movies, and like I said, it's still my favorite of Robert Eggers' movie. I love all of them. He's one of the few art house horror directors that I really enjoy. Probably only the one. This is a solid, great film. It's a Blu-ray DVD combo, and also has some really great HD in here. Like there's some how they do the frame rate and convert it. It's so weird to say. I'm not, but there is some great frame rate in here that I think they fix in the film. Also, I know the lighting has been getting progressively worse. That's because it's raining outside, so I do apologize for that. I can't control the goddamn weather. What the fuck you want me to do? Next up, we have Silence of the Lambs, another solid horror movie that I thoroughly enjoy. The sequel's not so much, but I do think this is a great film nonetheless. Next up, we have Starship Troopers Invasion. This is one of the Starship Troopers animated films that, now, yes, I do not have, as of this recording, the original live-action Starship Troopers movie in either DVD or Blu-ray. I'd like to get Blu-ray of it, but it's been kind of expensive, so I've been kind of holding off on that. But this, I really liked a lot of the Starship Trooper animated films, because apparently they because they do follow a little more of the book feel than anything else. So it was really cool to get this for like $5. Next up, 13 Assassins, another great, lesser-known samurai revenge movie about 13 assassins who target a cruel prince who is set to become emperor and probably ruin all of Japan. It is a slow a slow burn of a movie, but those last 40 minutes of the film, woof, it makes it all worth it. I will tell you that. Next up, Them. I used to have this on DVD, but I lost it. So when I found out there was a Blu-ray edition of Them, arguably one of the best films to come out in the 1950s, alongside Gojira and Creature from the Black Lagoon, here and there, all came out the same year too. 1954 was just a banger for those films. But yeah, Them is a great giant bug movie, and I really wanted it on Blu-ray. It was so cool to see it on there. Next up, for $5, I had to do it, Van Helsing. And if you can tell by the the perfect high-def movie experience, this is an old Blu-ray. Like, this is an older what older Blu-rays looked like. Van Helsing is a great action horror movie, and I thoroughly love it. And again, it's like a nice window to the past, because it's just so this is like one of those times where one of the first Blu-rays to come out. Like when this comes out in an era where Blu-rays were still like budgeting out into the world. I have about one or two more of those out there, but it was so nice to find this movie on Blu-ray. I've always wanted it in my collection, so it was cool to get it. Next up, Prey. I have Predator and Predator 2 and Predators, the only other 3 Predator movies, not looking at another one. Those are all on DVD, but when Prey was coming, it was announced that Prey was coming out on physical media, I had to get the Blu-ray. Prey is a solid... I've sung its praises more than enough, but this movie was just a solid film from start to finish, and it was so cool to see it. The bonus features are pretty cool too, of talking about like how they designed the Predator and everything else. Next up, another gift from Chris, Dog Soldiers. I also really love the cover right here. I love the art for this cover. It's the Blu-ray DVD combo pack. It also has some more extended scenes. Excuse me. If you were to look for any edition of Dog Soldiers, well, good luck finding the DVD. That's impossible. But if you can find this Blu-ray, which it's not that hard as of this recording, it's still like pretty easy to get. I think this was the Shout Factory, and Shout Factory does really good when it comes to movie restorations. Although there is a whole story of why this movie still looks like it has a potato cam. You can go check out. There's another channel called Good Bad Flicks. There's a great story of like behind the scenes stuff there for that channel. Anyway, my favorite werewolf movie, and definitely another movie I just absolutely adore. So, Chris, thank you again for getting me this on Blu-ray. Anyway, next up, Cocaine Bear. This was one of the first Blu-rays I got when I started collecting Blu-rays. The first one we'll get to later, and trust me, you could think of 1,000 different ideas. You'll never guess what it is. Cocaine Bear is just a fun, dumb animal attack movie, and I thoroughly enjoy it. This also has like bonus scenes and deleted scenes and other like bloopers and things like that. It's just a dumb one. It's just a dumb, fun one. And speaking of that, I got this the same time as Cocaine Bear, as a double feature, and that is Violent Night. A new Christmas classic full of blood and guts, and Dave Harbour being a badass. And oh look, here's the first movie, the first Blu-ray I ever got. Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. This was a Shaw Brother Hammer horror collaboration that features Peter Cushing and Kung Fu. When I saw this at an FYE, I had to get it. This was my first Blu-ray I ever had. Prey, Violent Night, and Cocaine Bear were the first Blu-rays when I started collecting Blu-rays. Those are the first ones. But this was the first one. This is a dumb, stupid movie, but it's just fun. It's just a fun action movie with mixing genres. And it's really cool. Anyway. So, yeah. Alright. So our next set of movies are going to be a whole collection that I have. And let's just go through all four of them right now. The Mortal Kombat Legends films. I've gotten all four. I was hoping they'd come out with more, but it doesn't look like we'll be getting a new Mortal Kombat Legends movie anytime soon. Watch as I say that they're gonna announce a new one. I also have them in chronological order. So we got Cage Match, which is the prequel one. Then we have Scorpion's Revenge. Then Battle for the Realms. Then finally Snowblind. All four great movies. I got them all roughly around the same time, and I just really love these. These were great animated films. Although I will say Battle for the Realms is the weakest, it still has its merits, and for completionist's sake. Anyway, now here's a look. Another classic Blu-ray, Reign of Fire. This is just Dragon Apocalypse. I love this movie. It's so ridiculous and overacted, but it's so much fun. A Dragon Apocalypse. Come on, how could I not? Next up is a lesser-known movie that that I'm sure some people have never heard of. That is Sundown: The Vampires in Retreat. Basically, it's a movie about a commune of vampires who are trying not to be vampires anymore, and essentially they are just trying to survive. David Carradine plays Dracula, and Bruce Campbell's in the movie playing a descendant of Van Helsing. I think I sold you on the movie enough. Let's move on. Now we have the Arrow edition of RoboCop. This is awesome. I've always loved RoboCop. RoboCop 2, I think, is dumb fun. RoboCop 3 can suck a dick, and so can the remake. But this, I had to get on. I had to get RoboCop because it's just a quintessential 80s sci-fi movie. I absolutely love it. Next up, we have my favorite movie of last year, The First Omen. I had to get this movie the moment it came out. The moment it came out on physical media, I had to rush and get it. It's a great horror movie. It's a great movie in general, and I wish more people would talk about it. Next up, Lee Whannell's The Invisible Man. A good Universal monster movie from Lee Whannell, as opposed to whatever the hell the Wolfman was. Shameless plug real fast, if you want to get my full thoughts on the Wolfman remake, just hit the link in the description box below, head on to my Patreon, hit the first tier, and that'll allow you access to do so. But I really loved, I love this movie. Sorry about that. As I was saying, yeah, Invisible Man, solid movie. We got it for $5 on Blu-ray because it had been out so long. Yeah, I really wanted it, so I got it. Want, not need. I wanted it, so I took it. Kudos if anyone got that reference, or if anyone's here this far. Q the Winged Serpent, another David Carradine film, which this movie is basically about a giant dragon monster invading 70s New York, and that I'm giving you the basics, but there is some weird stuff that happens, and there are weird scenes in this movie, and the whole reason this movie was made was because the director was going to shoot another movie, but that got canceled, and he was just in his apartment, like, he just got a really nice hotel room. He was like, damn, I don't want to leave this hotel room. I'm going to make another movie to stay in this room. The whole goddamn reason this movie was made was because the guy didn't want to leave his nice hotel room. If that shit's not funny, I don't know what is. Next up, we have The Simpsons movie. A great Simpsons fan, and I really wanted to have this in my collection. It's just The Simpsons. What do you do? Next up, we have Bad Moon, a lesser-known werewolf movie from the 90s that is based off of a book about a dog who senses that the family's uncle is a werewolf. The werewolf transformation's shit, but the werewolf design is pretty solid, if that makes any sense. There's also a solid jump scare at the end of the film that I really enjoyed, that really took me aback. Next up, Ghostbusters. I don't have Ghostbusters 2 or any of the other Ghostbuster movies, but I was very happy to get Ghostbusters on Blu-ray. It's one of those movies that I've really wanted to have in my collection, and it's so nice to have it here. Next up, Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a great slasher film, and I'm glad I got the collector's edition for this one. Just a solid New Age slasher movie. Now we come to another Boris Karloff non-Universal picture, The Body Snatcher. This is a lesser-known film from Warner Brothers. When technically it was another movie studio, RKO. It is under Warner Brothers now, but this is technically an RKO picture. Back when RKO was a monster at the films. This is also a Val Lewton horror movie. Val Lewton horror movies don't really depend on monsters, it's more of atmosphere, and their movie, The Cat People, probably created the first jump scare in horror, period. Like, these guys perfected the jump scare. Now, this movie is based on a Robert Louis Stevenson short story, and features a character played by Boris Karloff called Cabman Gray, who collects bodies for a fraud of a doctor. It's a great horror. It's a great film. I think this is behind the Frankenstein monster, of course. Behind the Frankenstein monster, this is probably Karloff's second best performance in any of his films. Next up, 30 Days of Night, another one of those early age Blu-ray movies, Blu-ray DVD covers. I really love this movie. It's a solid vampire film. What more can I say? Now we have David Cronenberg's The Fly, and trust me, the other Fly will be showing up in this collection at some point. Excuse me. This is another solid horror remake. I really love this. Next up, Twister. As much as I hated Twisters, when I saw that this was like less than $4, I was like, yeah, I'm bringing this home with me. Then we have The Road Warrior. I don't have the original Mad Max movie yet. Or, I'm going to let you guys know, I don't have Furiosa on Blu-ray either. That's another movie it's on my to-do list to get. But The Road Warrior, of course, I had to get it. Just had to. Then we have... London Bridge is falling down. Sorry, I was building a tower with these, and it was starting to fall down. But Mad Max Fury Road, quintessential action movie that I really loved. I still need to get Furiosa, but I knew I had to get Fury Road on Blu-ray. Next up, we have Tarantula, another great 50s horror movie, giant bug movie. Not as good as them, but still a solid one. Although I will say there are some pacing issues, but those spider scenes are great. Anyway. So professional on this channel, I swear. Oh, we're not done yet. We still got we still got some more, and I don't know if the camera can see it, but they're on the DVDs, but we'll talk about them another time. Anyway, next up, Pulp Fiction. I fucking hate this goddamn chair. Next up, we have Pulp Fiction, another Tarantino movie. This is one I was desperately wanting to get on Blu-ray, and yeah, what more can I say? It's like one of the most quintessential Tarantino movies, period. Then we have Terminators 1 and 2, because those are the only Terminator movies you need. Yeah, both movies, I just needed to have Terminator 1 and 2 in here. If I ever find T3, I don't hate T3 the way most... It's not a good movie. T3 is not a good movie. But I will say that the movie itself, if I can find it really cheap, if I can find it on Blu-ray for really cheap, I'll add it to the collection. Because it's not the worst of the Terminator sequels. Trust me. Now we come to a movie that I don't know why I have. Baxter. We're going to have to talk about this one, because there's a whole story behind this movie. So for those who don't know, this is a French movie from Kino Lorber. That's the distribution group, Blu-ray distribution group. This is a French movie about a bull terrier, and we follow the movie through his perspective of him trying to kill his owners. It's kind of a horror movie. And basically, he wants to kill his owners to find the right owner. It's based off of a novel, loosely based off a novel from the 70s called Hellhound. And the reason I got this was for my girlfriend. She loves bull terriers. She absolutely adores bull terriers. And I watched them, I was like, okay, French movies are it can get pretty rough. So let me watch this first. And the movie has scenes of the dog lusting over a woman. He gets an owner who's a kid who really likes Hitler. The dog almost drowns. I'm pretty sure that wasn't exactly cleared for animal rights and all that. Whew. So I did not give this to her. I decided to keep it, not because I like it, but because I bought it. I'm not and I don't think anyone's gonna want to buy this, so it's here for better or for worse. Now we come to another a cult classic, Night of the Motherfucking Creeps. That's not motherfucking, it's not in the thing, but whatever. Night of the Creeps is a great 80s film with Tom Atkins, and it has one of the greatest catchphrases ever. Thrill me. I love this movie. It's a dumb, stupid movie, but it's clear this movie was made with love. Next up, we have Red Sonja, Queen of Plagues, which is a movie, it's a motion comic film that I got from Dollar Tree because I wanted to give this to my girlfriend because she's a big Red Sonja fan, more specifically the Gail Simone Red Sonja comics. But it turns out she already had it. I remember right after I bought it, I went, fuck! She already bought it! So that's another one. This is another one I kept. Now we have The Monster, another movie from that was sent to me by my friend Chris. This movie is about a mother and her abusive mother and her daughter encountering a strange monster in the woods. It's an A24 film, an early A24 film. I like it. I've seen it before. I had seen it before because I was curious about the monster and everything else. But of course, in A24 fashion, it's not just about the monster or what have you. This one, I don't know if I can recommend to everybody. Now we come to the collector's edition of Candyman. Rip to Tony Todd. This is a great one. It's a great 2K restoration. It's got, an unrated cut of the movie. This is a solid one. This is another Scream Factory one. And again, Scream Factory just does not miss on this cover art. I got this shortly before months before it was revealed Tony Todd had passed. And I'm very, I need to sit down and watch this movie again. It's such a great horror movie. Next up, we have Arachnophobia. I hate spiders. I do not care much for spiders, but I love this movie. And every time I watch this movie, I'm reminded, oh yeah, spiders creep me out. And I'm usually good with most giant spider movies, or spider movies in general, where, okay, it's a fake giant spider, I don't have to worry about that. But the thing is, these are real spiders getting into places you would find them in your home. And that's what bothers me about it. Yeah. Now we come to another Kino Lorber release or restoration, and that is the 4K restoration of Nosferatu, the original 1922 film. I know this movie's in public domain. I'm well aware that this movie is in public domain, and I was kind of resisting for the longest time of wanting to watch it on in that form. Because it was public domain, I could just go on YouTube. But again, there's always that fear of what if you can never watch it again. There's always that fear. So this 2-disc remaster is awesome. It's a great restoration, and probably if I was to say if you really wanted to get it on Blu-ray, this is the best way to do it. It's the best restoration of the film. It is the best definition of the film. Yeah, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend this one. I do want to get... Kino Lorber also did a great restoration of Phantom of the Opera, the Lon Chaney one. So I am looking into getting that one at some point. But yeah, I was very pleased with this. And again, I wanted to get it, just to refresh my memory for, the other remake, whenever that comes out on Blu-ray. Then we have another movie I got at that comic store for $5. The 30th anniversary of Silent Night, Deadly Night. Yeah! This movie's so fucking stupid. I love it. It's such a bizarre slasher, but I forgot how much I loved it. I do want to get part 2. I do not want to get the 3 through 5. Those movies are garbage. But part 2 is stupid and fun because we all love Garbage Day. So yeah, that's on my list. We're not done yet. We are so not done yet. So, next up we have The Crow. The original one. The Brandon Lee one. The only one anyone cares about. For good reason. This movie's awesome. I was very happy to find this, and I forgot how much I love this movie, so it was cool to get it on Blu-ray. Then we have Dragon Slayer. This is a Paramount and actually a Disney movie as well. This is technically under Disney as well. Dragon Slayer is a great dark fantasy film from the 80s that no one really talks about, and I think it has probably the best designed dragon, although technically it's a wyvern. We'll not get into that, but still. It is a great fantasy film, and I highly recommend... If you want to look for 80s fantasy films, here you go. I do want to get, it does remind me, Conan the Barbarian Blu-ray is another one that's been on my list. Now we get to Salem's Lot. The good one, the Tobe Hooper miniseries. And again, fuck that other movie, that recent movie. I really enjoy this movie. It's a 2-part miniseries, but still, it's a great, it's a great film. It's a great film altogether. Then we have Bride of Chucky. This is the only Child's Play movie I have. I do want to get some others. I don't want to get all the films because a lot of them aren't great. But there are some films here and there. But this is my favorite of the Chucky movies, so I really wanted to have at least Bride of Chucky. If I was to say, if I can only get one Chucky movie, this is the one I want to get. Bride of Chucky is my favorite of the Child's Play films, so to get it was really cool. Then we have Dead Silence, which is an underrated Lee Whannell, James Wan production. This movie came out during the height of like Saw and all that, and it kind of got thrown to the rug. But this movie basically makes you go, oh, so this is why he got Invisible Man and Wolfman. Lee Whannell, I mean. For those who don't know what this movie is about a ghost called Mary Shaw, who uses, if you scream when you see her, she rips your tongue out and makes it into a doll. The movie is the unrated cut, and it's a great little film. It's super underrated and is becoming a cult classic. I'm glad people are starting to see it, but this movie's a lot of fun. If you have never seen Dead Silence because you thought it looked like a Saw ripoff, which is funny because it's from the creators of Saw, I highly recommend you check out this movie. Next, we have The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, a great spaghetti western. I really want to get Fistful of Dollars and Few Dollars More, just to complete that Sergio Leone trilogy. Just a quintessential western, if you ask me. Then we have the Frank Langella Dracula remake from Universal. This one I kind of got on a lark because I always wanted to watch it. It's not bad. It's not great either, but I think it does have like Donald Pleasance in the film. There's some good performances here and there, and it actually has a lot of giallo. It definitely feels like a giallo film, and that's what really I think was the good driving factor for it. Then we have The Deadly Mantis. This movie's so bad, I love it. This movie's so dumb, but I absolutely adore it. Then we have Bone Tomahawk, a great horror western featuring Kurt Russell with Patrick Wilson before he got big, and a few other actors here and there. There's also a cameo from Sid Haig from The House of a Thousand Corpses. You know him best as Captain Spaulding. And it also has a cameo of David Arquette, who most of you guys would know best as Dewey. Those movies are... it's a great, solid country western horror about cannibals, Neanderthal-like cannibals, and the hunt to find them in this brutal out west setting. This movie's bloody and gritty, and Jesus, it will make you squirm at points. Speaking of horror westerns, Dusk Till Dawn, a Robert Rodriguez Quentin Tarantino collaboration that is completely fucking awesome. I love this movie, and I'm really happy to have it in my collection. Alright guys, hold fast, we're almost done. Anyway. Yep, we're almost done, guys, don't worry. We have The Fly. The original Fly with Vincent Price. This movie is I really like this movie, not as much as the remake, but it's definitely an original that really holds out on its own. And again, you can't go wrong with Vincent Price. Now the movie that scares the shit out of me, The Haunting. Why do I own a movie that scares the shit out of me? Because it's kind of like a I beat you kind of moment, honestly. This movie terrifies the shit out of me. It still creeps me out to this day, but I love it. I don't know why I do, but I do. Then we have Sisu, another solid movie from 2023. That is a great Norwegian movie. It was very low under the radar. Great action movie. I was really happy to have it. Then we have another, I think this was Kino Lorber Classics, another distribution from them. The Raven, one of Roger Corman's and Vincent Price's Poe collaborations. This movie is just fun. You got Boris Karloff, Vincent Price, and Peter Lorre, all being wizards. It's a lot of fun. Also has a young Jack Nicholson in it, too. Then we have Seven. This is a movie I got on a lark because I really liked the movie. And it was also at a Big Lots, which are starting to go out of business. So I was like, screw it, I'll get it. Then we have The Raid Redemption, my favorite action movie of all time. I absolutely adore this movie, and this is the unrated special edition with some extra scenes that didn't get in the movie. Love this movie. If you've never seen this movie, I don't think you can call yourself an action fan if you don't have it in your collection. Oh look, the other movie I got from the Big Lots, Friday the 13th Part 2, which is kind of like, again, it was on a lark, and the only other movie I have of the Friday the 13th movies is Part 4, my favorite, the final chapter, and I have that on DVD. Jason movies, I'm like, if I can find them cheap, I'll watch them on Blu-ray, but I'm not actively out to get them all. Then we have Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1 and 2. This is the 40th anniversary edition, which I really liked. It's a great 4K restoration as well. And then we have this one I got at some other, this is Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, but this cover, I don't know why this cover looks so generic and ugly, when the original cover is just fun of them parroting The Breakfast Club. I really do love this movie as much, but I really hate this cover. I don't know who thought this was a good idea for such a generic, cover, but Jesus. But yeah, those are the only 2 Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies in there, because a lot of them suck. Then, Kino Lorber coming in hot once more, I think I just rhymed there, with It, the Terror from Beyond Space, a great 50s horror movie involving an alien that was the inspiration for, well, Alien. I recommend this movie if you really love 50s sci-fi movies. This is it would be a disservice not to watch this. Then we have the collector's edition of Abigail. Again, great movie from 2024. It just didn't, it almost peaked in my top 10 list, but I really love this movie, and I'm happy to have it. Then, another Kino Lorber. These guys have some really great rare movies that are it's cool to see them get restored, and they're a lot of fun to see. Rawhead Rex. Really awful movie, but I love how stupid it is. And also, this movie was the inspiration to make Clive Barker go, no one else is going to remake my movies but me, and thereby giving us Hellraiser. And finally, Westworld. I love this movie. It was a great science fiction movie, and I'm glad to have it in my collection. So there you go, guys. That is my Blu-ray collection. If you've come this far, if you've stayed this long to look at these videos, comment below, let me know what you guys thought of it. Let me know in the comments below. And, what you guys thought of it. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.